Hey Sidekick subscribers and viewers out there, today Hero887, your host, bringing you daily content news about Shadow of War, and today we're going to talk about the overall changes to how difficult Shadow of War is going to be from Shadow of Mordor. We've all got to the point to the end game, at least if you played Shadow of Mordor. Why didn't you? If you haven't, it was free for a while there, wasn't it? But either way, we've all gotten to the point where it's kind of like, I'm too powerful for these orcs. I can do anything. I'm like a god. I can never die. This game is boring. Well, let me just go on to say that Shadow of War brings some huge different dynamic changes and will make a challenge for us, for sure. Let's talk about that. So they have asked, as a community, what have you done, Monolith, to change combat to make it harder or more streamlined experience? And here they have quite a long explanation, which I'm happy to talk about. And so here they've said, we've tried to make it more challenging for one, especially on the harder difficulty level. Yes, difficulty levels is a setting in which you can have and can be changed. We talked about that in a previous episode, so no need to belabor that. Now, they go on to say, we've focused in particular on the abilities, the weapons, the variety, and the behaviors of enemies. Of course, this was similar in Shadow of Mordor. They had abilities such as a poison weapon, or they had abilities such as a beast killer. They had abilities such as a hate of pain. Alright, they had variety as well. They all looked different, but not only looks, but their behaviors of the enemies were different. They might be based upon their abilities change the combat rapidly and become more challenged, and that was what was so great about the Nemesis system. However, they go on to say now they can adapt to your strategies. And they have ways to counter or challenge all. That's all inclusive here. All of your skills and strategies. Whoa! Talk about Nemesis System 2.0. Nemesis System in Shadow of Mordor, again, was fantastic. It was variety. It was challenging to a certain degree. But then it came to the point where you just kind of mastered the game. You knew how to kill orcs. You became an expert. But it's not going to be so easy to slay them in Shadow of War. The reason why is primarily due to the fact that they've said the AI, or maybe I could call it the artificial intelligence, or the Nemesis System 2.0, whatever you want to call it, this ability of orcs to adapt to your strategies and counter or challenge all of your skills, not only just of the skills you develop in leveling, but your strategies and how you attack your tendencies as a player and how you approach and kill orcs, that can all be countered, can be adapted to on the fly. Now guys, that is going to be something interesting to see played out, and I have to mention, I think from the gameplay, it does look like a challenge. I must admit, the challenge is real. Now, I'm not done, and nor are the devs about this difficulty. Through the Nemesis system, orcs are now more cunning with regards to how they choose to ambush the player. Yes, they ambush you. Talk about total shift, total switch. We're not ambushing them with stealth anymore. They're ambushing the player and even leading players into traps. Wow, now that's fantastic. The new Nemesis system does not just stop with these orcs of changing their strategies to kill you better, but they're also now more cunning in how they ambush you and lead you into traps. Can you imagine walking through Siege and then like a wall exploding right next to you, and then the captain being like, I got you with my little trap bomb. Did you like that? Are you gonna cry? You know, it's just, I'm gonna love it. It's gonna be fantastic. At the same time, I'm gonna be like, no you didn't, and I want to kill you. You know, it's just gonna make the game so much more enjoyable, because we're going to be seriously frustrated, but at the same time seriously rewarded whenever we kill that orc that got us. So it's always going to be a one-upmanship. I think we're going to have fun with that. Now, furthermore, they go on to say, we have increased the scale of the battles as well. And this is definitely true. They not only increased the scale of the overall size of the world, the regions that you can explore as an open-world environment, and so on, but they've expanded how difficult the battles will be in sheer size alone. And that they primarily say is limited to, and not limited to as well, to beasts and monsters, and how they represent a major threat and can enter combat at any time, including massive enemies like elemental grogs or drakes. So you talk about random difficulties in the scale of battles being added in, this is one of them. And I kind of personally like this, because it seemed like the beasts just sort of showed up only in parts of the world in Shadow of Mordor, but now they're showing up more frequently. They're showing up as hordes. They're showing up as huge elemental grogs and drakes. It's going to be more difficult, and on top of all that, you'll face more powerful captains, not only because of these new abilities they're giving and how to counteract the player, but also because their level cap is up much higher, if not tripled, while also having to deal with hordes of enemy grunts, which of course we're all accustomed to that in Shadow of Mordor. Additionally, they're not done yet. They want to make this game apparently super hardcore, and I'm going to continue talking until we're done. Here it is, and I'm going to say it's worth listening to. The elemental hazards bring more of a threat to the sandbox, including fire, poison, and curse. Now we know from previous episodes, if you haven't learned about it, you can check out the description below for a playlist and learning more in these past few days, not just a few, quite a few days, of an archive of interesting information, including that of the poison and fire combo called Balefire. And so that is becoming more of a threat. It's a poison and a fire. In addition to that is a new element called Curse. And just briefly to let you know what that is, a Curse not only instills fear in the enemy, makes them run away in battle, especially that of grunts, but even captains, if you have enough Curse going on, then they're going to flee in terror. In addition to that, it also acts as a poison and hurts their health over time. So these elemental environment hazards are a real threat. The player must consider and think about becoming immune to, because, well, let's just face it, Balefire ain't a good thing. Neither is Curse. And all of these elements combined with each other to make every fight unique and keeping players on their toes. So you worry about the difficulty of Shadow of War being too easy? Think again. Because they have worked so hard at making a larger and more varied world, they can also promise the escalation of threats in different areas, and sometimes certain areas with greater difficulty. And that includes Barad-dûr, which is, they say, quote-unquote, particularly deadly. And so, if you want a real challenge, go to Barad-dûr. And on the other hand, however, you can also balance all of these difficulties out. If you're there cowering in fear, thinking this game is even too hard for me, I'm just a casual player, I'm not signing up for this difficulty. No, you can make the game easier on a setting, first of all. Secondly, they say, on the other hand, you can now recruit orcs to be your followers and help you in combat. Similar as we saw in Shadow of Mordor, but even greater on a larger scale. Again, all of these things that were working against you are now on your side. All of these things that were hurtful are being used also for you. So it's like, consider your army, because you're not a one-man army. Well, kind of you are. You're like awesome undead one-man army. But at the same time, don't forget you've got orcs that can help you out, and you can recruit to help you in combat. Well, that's all I have for you today. Very excited about the difficulty level and the challenges and frustrations, but also great rewards it'll bring. Are you excited about that? Leave a comment below if you are, and I'll see you in the next video. Hero87, your host, saying sayonara. Later, sidekicks. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to slam that like button with a bone-shattering wraith punch to the face. The harder you smash it, the better. No, really, it really helps this channel out.